As you guys know, in my entire collection I collect the Godzillas that are based on my favorite design, and I finally at last have all my favorite designs of Godzilla in my collection. However, out of all of them, none of them have as much as an interesting history as this Godzilla here. And in today's review, you guys, I'm going to explain as to why this Godzilla was originally not my favorite suit, and I'm also going to be reviewing the figure. Hey yo, what's up guys? Mr. Kydrex here again, doing another video for you guys today. And in today's video I'm going to be doing a review on another Godzilla figure. And this one's going to be a little bit different from my last review, as I'm going to be reviewing a figure that originally was not my favorite design. And also because of the unique way this figure was made, I'm not going to be doing it like the last review where I compared it to the suit to see if it still holds up, mostly for the reason of this figure being exaggerated. And I'm also going to be explaining as to why this figure, well, the design of the figure, was originally not one of my favorite designs of Godzilla. And it's going to be a review on the Medicom Godzilla 1955. Now before I start reviewing the figure, let's first take a look at what he came with. He came in a bag with this header card here. It says right there Godzilla in Japanese, and right here in English it says Godzilla Vinyl Wars. Right there we have the little sticker. Well, not really a sticker, but the Godzilla emblem. Right here it says Marusan. There it says Medicom toy. There's a picture of what appears to be the Godzilla 1965. There's all the check marks basing on the company that it's made from. And in this case there is a X mark on Marusan. All that legal information there. And right here it says Godzilla 1955 counterattack version by Marusan. So this is based on Godzilla's counterattack, also known as Godzilla Raids Again. So there's that. And now we move on to the figure itself. Now I'm going to be doing the normal where I explain detail, paint job, and articulation, but I'm going to be explaining as to why this wasn't originally my favorite suit. I only started recently getting into a liking towards the suit because originally this Godzilla design was actually one of my least favorite designs. And it was from a movie that I originally didn't really like. But I will explain why I decided to change my mind. But first, let's explain the detail on this figure. Now, given the way that this figure was made, it is not entirely accurate to the actual suit that we see in the movie. It is based on the design of the Godzilla, but it is not accurate. You see, the way these figures are made are either exaggerated or they're made accurately because it depends on which ones you buy. This one is just your typical Marusan figure that is made and it's exaggerated into the way they decided to design it. So as I said before, it's not accurate to the suit, but it does have the attributes to let you know that this Godzilla is based on that design from that film. So here we have the head sculpt of the Godzilla. As you can tell, it is very reminiscent of the Godzilla 1955 design, because it does have the facial-like features. However, my only problem with this figure is one thing: he's always looking up. Now, I would understand if this is based on the climactic ending where Godzilla's looking up at all the jets that are firing on him to bury him under the ice. But the thing is, this figure was made alongside an Anguirus figure. And if you get them both, I guess you could just pose them to make it look like they're fighting each other. So it doesn't really make sense as to why this Godzilla is always looking up, given the fact that when he fought Anguirus, he was always looking down because Anguirus was a low-to-ground kaiju. But nonetheless, you know, that doesn't mean it's a bad head sculpt just because it's looking up, because it really is good. As you can see, you got the eyebrow there, there's the eye, there's the nose, you can make out the nostrils, and then the detail along the head is mostly just stippling to represent the scales. There's his ear right there, the teeth, he's got the fangs that were very, very characteristic on this Godzilla. As you can see, there's no detail inside the mouth, it's just closed vinyl. And as you go down the head, you can see the spikes starting to form to go into his dorsal plates on his back, which do indeed look like the Godzilla 1955 dorsal plates. There's his neck there. As you can see, it continues with the detail. It's not incredibly detailed, it's just got the stippling that goes down his body. And then you got these little ridges right here that are supposed to represent the scales on Godzilla that's supposed to look like tree bark. He's also got these little bumps right here, which I think look pretty good. There you have the legs, which again has the same detail where it's like supposed to represent Godzilla's tree bark like scales. And then you have the feet there, you can't really see them. There's the feet, again with some detail right there. So as I said before, this figure is meant to be exaggerated, not meant to be accurate, so it's designed pretty okay for what it is. There's the tail, not really all that long, but you know, in the end the detail's pretty good. I mean, it gets the job done. It does look like Godzilla 1955, so you're pretty much not going to be disappointed with this figure. Unless you're like me, where the head looking up does kind of bug me. But, you know, in the end, it's still a good representation of Godzilla 1955. What I also like about this figure is that it's got the overall shape of Godzilla correct, because later on in the Showa movies, Godzilla started getting this kind of like bell-shaped body. It's kind of shaped like a bell, where it's kind of small up here, and then it develops into, yeah, just overall just bell-shaped, because that's what was on some Showa suits. It wasn't particularly on this Godzilla suit, but, you know, like I said, it's exaggerated, so it's not really going to be too accurate. That's why some of the attributes, such as the small tail and the skin detail on the body, just are exaggerated. For that reason, they don't look that accurate. Because again, you know, it's not really supposed to be accurate, it's just the way they made the figure. And I really do like it. So, the paint job on this guy, he's molded in this kind of charcoal gray vinyl. And his pleats here, running down to the end of his tail, are all sprayed on with a kind of gray color. It's not really... I mean, it kind of has like a tint of blue in it, but not all the way, and as you can see, it looks really good. It kind of goes into the skin here, but you know, in the end, that doesn't really matter. He's also got some gray on the top of his head. His eyes, they're black and white. Teeth are white also. The inside of the mouth actually does have some color. It's kind of like a little, kind of almost red color. And then consistently around the body, it's just, you know, white claws, white toes, some white down here on the body. So yeah, paint job is really good, as it does capture the monochrome. Paint job basically black and white, because the movie was in black and white, so the figure was made in black and white. The articulation on this figure is pretty standard for Godzilla. The arms do move, so do the legs. The tail kind of moves, but it's stiff. For some reason right here, this arm's kind of loose. This one's just fine, but this one's kind of loose. And that's pretty much it on this figure. So it's doable. Pretty basic for a Godzilla figure to have this kind of articulation. This figure measures around 8 to 9 inches tall, so any other figures that you have in your collection won't do any good unless they're about 8 or 9 inches tall, so I'm going to compare it to a few that I have. First, here we have the Godzilla 1991 figure by Bandai. And as you can see, this Godzilla is a little bit shorter, but you know, nonetheless, you know, they're not really meant to be in scale, because this Godzilla obviously was 100 meters and he was 50 meters. So there you go. Here he is compared to Godzilla 2003 from Bandai. Now this one right here is my favorite suit. My number one favorite suit. And as you guys can see, they're pretty much close in scale. I mean, he's like a hair or two taller than this Godzilla. But you know, nonetheless, it's doable. Like I said, he'll fit in scale with those Godzillas. And lastly, here we have the Diamond Select Godzilla 1974 Bink. And as you can see, this Godzilla is really... He's pretty much taller than the 1955 Godzilla, and I can't really even fit him into frame. If I put the camera up a little bit, there you go. So yeah, as I said before, this Godzilla will only fit in scale with the bigger figures in your collection, but other than that, he's not going to fit in with anything else. Now, this Godzilla is from Godzilla Raids Again, which originally was not one of my favorite movies. I didn't really like the way the film was. It kind of felt too long, it was kind of boring, and there wasn't really that much monster action. And when there was monster action, it was pretty good. but you know, it wasn't enough to satisfy me when I was a younger viewer. And the reason why this Godzilla suit design really was my favorite, because originally I thought it was ugly. It just didn't look right. The proportions on it were off at some points, like on the face, one side was bigger than the other, and just you could tell that it was a guy in a suit. Even though you could tell that with all the other movies, this one you could really tell because there were many folds in the suit, and the way he moved was just kind of, I don't know, it was just something was off about this Godzilla, and that's what kind of made it one of my least favorites. But I started to look back at the suit and started to realize that the only reason why it didn't look perfect was because they needed to design that Godzilla in order for it to be suitable for the actor to fight another monster, in this case Anguirus. So in order for that to happen, they had to slim down, make Godzilla look a little bit different, and after all, it's supposed to be another species of Godzilla that's supposed to follow along. But you know, that's the main reason why I just didn't like it, because it just looked off. But as I started to grow more, I started to understand that this Godzilla needed some changes. And it wasn't, you know, the design's fault, it was just the way the suit was built that made it just look weird, so I can't really like get mad at that. And also, I just didn't really like the design of the Godzilla. Like I said, he just kind of looked ugly. But I gave Godzilla Raids Again another watch, and I started to appreciate the film more because it was the first Godzilla movie to bring on the monster-on-monster action where two monsters will fight each other, two or more. And I decided to give it that appreciation because if it weren't for that movie, we wouldn't really have much of the Godzilla movies today. And since I gave the movie a chance, even though it's still not really one of my favorites, it's still a movie that I think was good enough to watch. I don't hate it, but at the same time, you know, I don't really like it either. And like I said, I decided to give the suit a chance, the design a chance, and it's made it onto the list as one of my favorites because it's ugly, but it's a good kind of ugly. Like, that's the only way I can say it. Like, it's ugly enough that I like it for that reason. And like I said, I can understand. And this figure, it does look like Godzilla 1955. As I said before, it's exaggerated. But that's only because that's the way the company makes their figures. It's not like the way Bandai makes it, where they look somewhat suit accurate. And even most figures actually look like the actual suit or the design of the Godzilla. But like I said, it's just the way that they made it. And I decided to give this Godzilla a chance, and it made it onto the list of being one of my favorite Godzilla suits. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do plan on getting the Anguirus that's supposed to come with this figure. Well, it's supposed to go along with this figure. And hopefully I'll even get another Godzilla 1955. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get another one, but I'm just glad to have this one at least. So the detail on this figure is good enough. The paint job is great for what it is. The articulation is basic, but you know, it's good either way. And the size, you know, I like the size overall. It's in its own scale, and it's supposed to go alongside the Anguirus figure. And just overall, it's a really good figure of the Godzilla 1955. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do recommend you guys getting this figure. I give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, the only thing that bugs me is the fact that he's looking up all the time. And right next to the Anguirus, it's just going to look bizarre. But in the end, it's still a great figure. I like it. And I'm glad that I bought it. And I'm glad that I gave the Godzilla design another chance. And to at least have a figure of the 1955 Godzilla, because some of them are hard to find, and the ones that are usually common are expensive. So again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will bring another review on another Godzilla figure, and just look forward to more videos. This is Mr. Kydrick signing off. Stay awesome, everyone.